Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J More Living. I am a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live here on Facebook, drop your questions or comments for my guest or myself in the comment box, and you'll see me sort of take a look aside and check, and we'll address those questions or inquiries or comments. I love the entrepreneurial spirit of today's guest and her sister. Lexx Mills' path to entrepreneurship wasn't linear. It didn't go in a straight line. It was a series of bold pivots that taught her to trust her instincts over a perfect plan. She went from teaching elementary school to leading economic development for Johns Hopkins, and then made what seemed like the wildest leap of all, co-founding Stursi, an innovative, zero-proof, botanical, ready-to-drink mocktail, which can also be used as a mixer with her sister Liv, a certified specialist of spirits with over a decade behind the bar. Together, they built a brand that is disrupting the $5 billion non-alcoholic beverage space. Let's bring in Lexx.
Hello.
Hi there, Lexx. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I just want to tell people that I met Lexx and her sister, Liv. I always have to double check because they're so close. Lexx and Liv,
Oh yeah, the
a
Lex and
year,
Live. It can confuse people.
yeah, right, about March 2025. I'm going to hold this up. And this is something called Taste Discovery Maryland B2B Vendor Fair. And they hadn't been on the market as yet. And they were just getting out there. It was March, so I think it was June or July that you finally went on the market. I want people to tell people what inspired Stursi to create it. In the meantime, I'm going to refresh
Yeah,
everything here.
absolutely. So, yes, I'm Lex. My sister's Liv, and Liv has been a mixologist for over a decade. She is a certified specialist of spirits, and she makes the most amazing cocktails, but alcohol started causing her health issues. And we wanted mocktails that tasted like real cocktails. We had a extremely hard time finding that. So we decided to make them ourselves. And we went on this journey over about almost 2 years to figure out how to get my sister's amazing recipes into cans. And in the meantime, we were in a commercial kitchen, making it ourselves, doing mocktail bars for corporate clients, all the while trying to figure out the manufacturing game, which is not for the faint of heart. And by the time it got into the cans, over 2,000 people had already tasted it. So we knew we had an amazing product that was worth the investment and all the hard work and hours that we were putting in. And we launched the canned product in August of 2025. So it's been about 9 months now. And since then, all three of our flavors have won in the New York Zero Proof Choice Awards, as well as a BevNet Spirits Award for our best new ready to drink mocktail.
Is that all? In 9 months? You've gotten a lot of publicity, and I saw even through the Fancy Food or the National Association of Fancy Foods. It's just always the fancy food show to me. I initially talked about that your trip was not a straight line. And tell people, I guess, I usually ask to talk about their family table, but that's not sort of the subject we're in. But I think it would be insightful to our listeners why your career wasn't linear and what pivots you took in your career. So I open the floor to you.
Absolutely. So, whenever people look at so I'm 34, And when people look at my resume and they see all the different things that I've done, they're like, "How have you done like all of this in such a short amount of time?" And really, like I have always challenged myself to like know when it was time to close a chapter and move on to the next thing. Even when I didn't, and most time, pretty much every time that I've done that, I didn't have a plan. So after college, I was first I was a Fulbright English teaching assistant in Malaysia for about a year. Then I came home and became an elementary school teacher. I did that first in DC, then in Baltimore. And then I realized, I said, I really want to have an impact outside of the classroom. So that's when I moved into doing community and economic development in Baltimore. And from there, I went to business school at the University of Michigan, Go Blue, and came back. And that's when I started doing economic development at Johns Hopkins and was there for about a year. Loved the work that I was doing, but again, felt that it was time for a new chapter and left. And I thought I was just going to be on sabbatical for a few months and then I was going to get another job. But during that time, my sister and I decided that we were going to do this business together. I had just come home from a 10-day solo trip to Cuba. And she said, "Girl, I've been waiting for you to get home. I finally know what we're doing mocktails." And I was like, okay. I didn't know anything about what was happening in the industry yet. I just knew that me and my sister that I've known for many, many years that she and I was supposed to work together. I didn't know what we were supposed to do. I just felt in my spirit. It's like if we bring our talents together, it's going to be something just extraordinary. And so when she came to me with this idea, I put on my MBA hat. I said, okay, let me see what's going on in the industry. And I saw that this was one of the fastest growing categories, not only in beverage, but in all of like the consumer products. So everything for folks who don't know consumer products, anything, pretty much everything you buy in the store, from your food to your snacks, your cleaning products, all of that is consumer products. And so I saw that this was a huge growing category. And I knew that if anybody could create an amazing mocktail, I knew that it was my sister. And we didn't know anything about this industry whatsoever, but we just decided to figure it out one day at a time.
Well, you did a good job, and it is a lot to take on. And just to tell people about your sister, Liv, she is not only creating the cocktails, she's an artist, a graphic artist. And I'm just curious. They usually say the firstborn is the business leader, the second child is the artist. Did that fall true for you and Liv?
That is correct. I am the oldest, and she is the youngest. Well, I also have an older brother as well, but everyone accepts that I'm the CEO of the family. I'm in spirit the oldest.
Well,
You will hear no arguments from anyone about that.
I think one of the things that I want to point out, and people don't give up, we're going to talk about the flavors and everything about Stursi. But what is unique that you decided that there would be no outside funding? So you leverage creative resourcefulness to overcome the industry barriers, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that. You secured grants. When I met you at Taste Discovery, you had gone through a program, I think it's called Curate,
Yes.
and that is how they teach you about, but tell us a little bit about Curate, and then we're going to come back to self-ownership and some of the
Yeah.
barriers.
Yeah, so Kyrie is an awesome program that started here in the DMV. And their focus is on helping local food and beverage companies grow and scale. And so another really, in addition to having training programs, they also form partnerships directly with institutions. So your hospitals, your schools, all those, your universities, and they have created a platform so that those institutions, it makes it easier for those institutions to actually buy from their local food and beverage businesses because that can normally, getting as a small business, getting access to those institutional contracts can be extremely difficult. So Curate's really amazing about that and just having that mission of supporting local businesses.
And before I forget, I want people to know that you can find more information on how you buy the products at Stursi, which is STURSI.com. Now, that was not the original name for the company. It was
Correct.
Revel. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes, that is
Mhm.
correct.
Why did you switch names? I know what Stursi means, and you can explain that to the listeners, but what made you switch? What was the bee in your bonnet?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So started off, and that's still our official legal name is Rebel. But long story short, we realized that we weren't going to be able to trademark it. And if you are going to go into business, you need something you could trademark. There's no point in putting all of this work into something that somebody can just come and steal from you. And so first we were definitely heartbroken because we had actually, we had been operating under that name for at least a year. So, everyone knew us by that name. And at first it was really challenging to figure out something that we loved as much, if not more. And how we ended up coming up with the name Stursi is that after like several attempts at trying to use real words that already existed, like, you know what, clearly this is not the move because everything's already taken. Everything's already trademarked. I'm like, we need to make something up. And so I started playing around with a word scramble machine and just putting in words that my sister and I say. And one of my favorite things about my sister that she likes to change the pronunciation of words. And sometimes instead of saying sister, she would be like my sister. And I just like spelled that out along with a bunch of other things into the word scramble machine. And it came out Stursi. And I showed my sister this, a few lists of things that I thought could be cool. And when she saw Stursi, she immediately was like, I like that. Like, really? And so we just played around with the spelling, and it ended up being so much because again, it's our playful reimagining of the word sister. So it's even more perfect for us. And so people could say, and actually now Rebel, she still lives on. Now it's the name of one of our drinks. This is the papaya berry and ginger flavor. But yes, but now we're Stursi. And folks always love to know how do we come up with the name. And yeah, it's just sister.
Very clever indeed. To get a grant, I'm assuming there were a couple of grants that came through because
Oh yes,
usually
I've had many grants and pitch competitions.
it's not easy to get. Well, something I read or something about you, it takes $150,000 to get a product off the ground.
Correct.
And to not give in to whatever the market demands and have it to own it completely. I guess grants was the way to go.
Yes.
What barriers did you find? We've already talked about the name. Were there any other barriers that you came across
Oh,
being an
absolutely.
entrepreneur?
Yeah, my sister and I say all the time, like out of like all the ways that we could have picked to make money, we picked one of the hardest things that you can do. Like not only like making a product, period, manufacturing is challenging, but specifically the food and beverage industry is very challenging. And one, you mentioned one about this is extremely capital intensive industry. Just to bring a product like this to market cost at least 150 to $200,000 on average. And we did not have that. And so, in order to still be able to do this, one was being able to use our talents to really leverage that to do things ourselves. So,
Right.
on my sister's end, that was her. She taught herself how to do these formulations, to convert those craft bar recipes into scalable manufacturing recipes so
Right.
that it would still taste the same in the can is how she made it behind the bar. She did an incredible job. And that's something she did not know how to do. She taught herself how to do that. And as well as all of our branding, our design, the packaging. My sister, as you mentioned, is an artist. She's done all of that. So that has saved us well over $300,000. And on my end, I always say it's her job to make it, it's my job to sell it. And so that includes not only selling the product, finding the partnerships, but that also includes raising money. And for us so far, that has been through all non-dilutive funding, which means I didn't have to give up any equity for that. And so I apply for a lot of grants and I do a lot of pitch competitions. And so to date, I've been very blessed to win over $79,000 in grants and pitch competitions. And so it takes a lot of work, many, many long nights, lots of time sitting in front of this computer, recording videos, hoping as well as being on stages and just like spreading the word to get folks know that we exist. And a lot of that money I actually was able to win before we launched the product. So it really was selling the vision and convincing people that we were the right team to be able to do this. And so those are two things that have enabled us to build this business without having funding and along with taking our time. Like I said, it took us 18 months, almost 2 years to get this product into the cans and to actually launch it. And so we had to have a lot of patience. Now, if you want to go faster, you're going to need to you're going to need to raise money. And so it really depends on, what folks feel is, the right what path folks feel is the right fit for them. And we knew for
Right,
us that we wanted to have the freedom to be able to build this business the way that we wanted to build it, especially really early on. We wanted to really be able to lean on each other and have the creative freedom to do what we wanted to do without any outside input.
right. Let's talk about Stursi now. Now, let's wet their whistle, so to say, and talk about your innovative premium zero proof, ready to drink mocktail. No alcohol, but tastes like the finest creations you go from the top mixologists. Three flavors. Revel, the original blend, layers of berries and ginger for a tart, spicy profile. Purple papaya berry and ginger aromatic citrus. Rain opens with bright citrus and ends on a subtle fennel note. So you do use some botanicals in there.
Mhm.
Debauchery, what a name. True to its name,
Absolutely.
carries a warming chili cardamom heat, dewy blood orange, cardamom, and exotic spices. Come in a can, have like a 6 month shelf life on the can. Not that it's going to last that
But we
long.
have an 18-month shelf life.
Oh, okay. I guess some of the things I was reading was early on. So forgive me
Hmm.
if I made an error. So, we've talked about you can just take it from the can, pour it in a cocktail glass, and enjoy it without the alcohol. And I think there was a quote that you said, and I thought it defines it. It says, alcohol does not define celebration. You can still have a good time
Hmm.
and not have alcohol. But should you want to get loaded, let's talk about what spirits are best mixed if they want to use it as a mixer. Revel,
Yes, absolutely.
what would be a good alcoholic partner to Revel?
Yeah, so Revel is papaya berry and ginger. She smells like perfume you can drink. She's fruit forward, light and crisp. So she pairs beautifully with Prosecco and your clear spirit. So think gin, vodka, amazing brunch cocktail. So those are the best pairings for Revel.
Okay, and let's
And
look at,
then Rain, which is pineapple and autumn spices. She was crafted for the whiskey drinker. So she's a beautiful, complex bite. And she goes best with bourbon, cognac, and aged rum. I used to be a whiskey drinker, so she is my favorite. And then finally, we have our spicy girl debauchery, which is blood orange and cardamom chili. And she I always tell people she's for when you want an extra thrill before you hit the streets. You're gonna get some heat on the back end from her, but don't be scared. It's just the right amount, just enough to keep things interesting. And she goes amazing with tequila and mezcal.
okay, I knew you'd be able to tell us. Um, I was reading, some of your information that The Stursi line, there are no adaptogens. I'm not saying it right. Adaptogens?
Yes, that was perfect.
Oh, good. I get my gold star. And I had to look up what adaptogens are. So why don't you tell people what adaptogens are and
Yes.
why it's not in Stursi?
This is one of my favorite questions. Thank you so much, Dara. And the reason why it's one of my favorite questions is because most non-alcoholic products on the market have adaptogens in them. And the easiest way to understand what they are is as natural substances that are supposed to either like boost your mood or give you some kind of like functional benefit. For example, more mental focus. And so examples of what adaptogens could be are like ashwagandha, which if I'm not mistaken is a mushroom, or lion's mane. So they're supposed to be, and there's like plant-based adaptogens, and then there can also be like synthetic ones. And the reason why they are very popular and very trendy in this industry is because as this industry has started to boom, particularly because and it's still like very much a niche industry in its early stage, even though it is one of the fastest growing categories, is that in the absence of having alcohol to create a buzz, many brands have felt they still need to put some kind of ingredient in there that gives you some type of a like emotional lift or mood boost. And so, but you know, they're like the jury is still out on like whether they work and what what's their impact on different people. Like some people feel an effect, other people do not. And so, and adaptogens, they're also not regulated either. So it's still like a thing that people are still understand, like learning to understand. And one of the other things with it is that so like some people like them, some people enjoy them, but they can interfere with some people's medications. They're pregnant women generally aren't supposed to have them unless they talk to their doctor first. So it can just be something like, again, people don't really understand what it is. It requires a lot of education. And for us, we really wanted a true cocktail experience based on flavor. We weren't looking to, alter anybody's mood through our ingredients in that way. And a lot of times too, those ingredients can taste medicinal. And so for us, when those ingredients are used, the beverage is more of a supplement, in our opinion, than
Mm,
a cocktail.
tail,
And
right.
so that's why we choose not to use them. They can give products a medicinal, funky taste.
That's how I feel about like rose water. When you get something like that, you know,
Yeah.
I get a recipe and it says rose water, and I go, I can live without it. And I'm sort of like that with lavender. Lavender is just something. There was a party thrown for me a long time ago, and they did a lavender creme brulee, and I put it in my mouth, and I had to do everything to contain not spitting it out because it was a party for me. But it's just I don't like to eat or drink flowers. I don't mind herbs.
Mm.
I'm fine with rosemary and sage and all those. Let's explain a little bit because we were talking consumer products. That's a CPG is what they call it in the industry, and a B2B. And people can go on your website, which is stursi.com, and that information is up in the contact information. I'm not seeing any questions, whether it's not floating up for me and it's there, but I can see that the link to your website and your Instagram, Drink Stursi, is available for people to click on. Um, so, business to business with Curate, how would Stursi work in a corporate level? How are you handling that side of the business and who's biting to do it with you?
Yes. So we have two core ways that we work with businesses. So on one end, there's your standard wholesale. So whether that's like a bar, a restaurant, an event venue that wants to buy our product wholesale in order to resell it. So that easy done. We have our wholesale price and you can do that. And in the DC, and we're focused on our local area of the DMV. And we do currently we offer free delivery when you meet our
Minimum.
minimum order. Well, yeah, when you meet our minimum. So yeah, so that's awesome. We love that and are really excited to expand that part of our business over the coming months. And then the second way that we work with businesses is on the event side. And so we also we're just like where we started in our early days of doing mocktail bars, we still do that. So we do mocktail bars and tasting activations. And so if you're wondering what is the difference between that? So the mocktail bar is like your full bar experience. If you want the beautifully garnished cocktails and the bar service, just like you would have a bartender come out, we do a full mocktail bar. So for example, universities love to book us to do that. And I can tell you that our mocktail bar is always more popular than the alcohol bar, not only for the students that don't drink, but also the adults like, you know what, I got to work tomorrow. I don't have time for this.
Right.
So yeah, it's always very popular. And then our tasting activation is where we're doing a tasting and folks can just grab like our ready to drink cans. And so it adds a really great, it's a really cool immersive activation for an event. Because folks, they just like, as you know, people love to taste things. They love to have that experience of discovering something new, especially a guided tasting where you're really
Right.
walking them through the experience. And so we do it like a wine tasting. And it's a really unique experience for folks, especially because a lot of folks have not experienced high quality craft mocktails. And so I love seeing like these pleasant looks of surprise on people's face. Like they're so surprised by how complex these are, that these truly are cocktails. And one of my favorite compliments is, "Are you sure there's no alcohol in here?" I'm like, and I was like this,
Okay.
0%, 0%, because it has that complexity and it has that bite that folks are used to it that they miss about a cocktail when they're looking. Because but the difference is, with juice, it's just sweet. You're sipping it, and it doesn't have that layered
It
complexity that
doesn't
if you
have the depth of flavor.
exactly, exactly.
Okay. So to remind everybody, you can buy at Stursi.com. You can connect with Lex if you want to do a business to business, if you want to do a mocktail bar at your event or caterers. I saw that on one of the stories I popped up that one of the local grocery stores had clicked on that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I never know um, who's seeing things. Now, let's get to you just announced 2 days ago a very formal announcement about Mock Teak, and it's
Mm.
opening July 11th. Tell the folks what Mock Teak is.
Yes. So Moctique by Stursi. So it's a beverage boutique. And so it is a part booze-free bottle shop where you can come and discover the best of what the non-alcoholic beverage world has to offer. Because I will tell you, it can be very hard to find quality stuff, but we are doing the work for you with our highly curated selection. It is a boutique tasting room, so you will be able to taste our all three of our award-winning Stursi flavors, as well as what other non-alcoholic products we're featuring on particular days, and it's an event space. So we're super excited to be bringing this really unique space for our community to be able to discover just there's a really cool things happening in the non-alcoholic beverage industry. And we're all about intentional gathering and reminding folks that one, you know, celebration and gathering, it does not have to center alcohol. Of course, you can have that if you want, but not all of us drink. And so to be thoughtful and inclusive and making sure that everyone has something special in their glass, because I know I deserve better than sparkling water. And you do too, Dara. So we want folks to be thinking about that. And also, a lot, a lot of people too, they just have alcohol and it can be like a lazy way to have a celebration thing. Like if I have this and some food, that's all I have to do and people will have a good time. And so we've gotten away from being creative and intentional about how we bring people together and really find creative ways to connect with people. So we're super excited about all of the events that we're going to be having, really cool experiences that we're going to be offering, and just a space where people will be able to build community as well.
Right. People can sign up for what updates and things on the website. Is there not a spot
Yes, exactly. Yes.
to
Yes,
stay
I
on
highly
top of it?
recommend going to our website because we have our community is called the First Sip Society, and they get exclusive access to events, discounts, perks. So we just sent out our save the date for our grand opening out to our First Sip community this week. And so highly recommend getting on that list because we're going to be doing really cool stuff and want to make sure you don't miss it and that are the first to know and get access before things get sold out.
Okay. We are now at a point where I ask some of my final questions. I sort of took out the food thing because I just didn't think it was suitable for you. What was your culinary fail? Okay, Lex, if you wake up tomorrow morning with a new talent, what would the new talent be?
To teleport. That would be amazing.
Beam me up, Scotty.
But yes, absolutely. I want to be able to like hop all around the world at any time of day.
I like that one. I'd like to have that too, especially what's going on with the airlines. Just
Oh my God.
beam me up, Scotty. Okay, the best bite you've had all week.
I had lamb chops and this really delicious eggplant and tofu stir fry earlier this week. I like well, I was at a we were doing a tasting activation for an event at the Ronald Reagan Center in DC. And I every chance I got, every time we had a break, I was going over to get the it was wonderful.
That I've worked many a food show, even the fancy food show, for a number of years. So when you got that break, there was always great to go. Okay, I would go and find the foie gras. You found the lamb. I went for the foie gras and the caviar. By the way, are you doing anything with fancy food show in New York in June?
This year, no, but I love the fancy food show. I tell if folks who don't know about it, I tell them it's like if you love food, it's like Disney World for adults. It's amazing.
I'm going up for the day, and that's where I find the new CPGs, and I come back in and give them a platform. And if anything, I might not have 3 million views of a show, but I help create content that they can take and use in some format. And enough people
Mm,
see it between stories. It's sort of like Coca-Cola doesn't need to advertise, but you always see it because it keeps it front of mind.
yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Other than Stursi in your refrigerator, what two items must be in your refrigerator?
Number one, eggs. I cannot live without eggs. If I had, when they ask you what three things are you taking to the desert island that you could eat forever, eggs is always number one on the list. Number two, as of recently, I'm eating a cinnamon raisin toast and bacon with my eggs every day. And so that's a must have. I cannot survive without eating breakfast. I'm hungry as soon as I wake up in the morning.
I understand that. I seem to be hungry 24 hours a day, but all right. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be? And I'm very curious to hear this one.
So my 18-year-old self was very much a perfectionist, very much a hard worker, very do things like by the rules. And I would tell her to have more fun and that like she can relax a little more. She can go out and she can go out more. She doesn't have to spend every weekend studying and doing pretty much like nothing else. Like I still, I've always had surrounded myself with really good people, had good friends. But I definitely throughout, especially like throughout college, like most of my time, I really didn't go out on the weekends. I was studying. And I remember the first time I got a B in college, I went to teacher, I was like, what is this? Like, what did I do wrong? And so
And if I
like
got a
on
B,
one
I was
hand,
clapping.
right, right. And
Right.
so certainly as an entrepreneur, it has really challenged that perfectionism because you are not going to get everything right. You're going to make a lot of mistakes and you have to give yourself all the grace. And so entrepreneurship has taught me a lot of learning how to relax and take care of myself and that I am enough. I don't have to try to optimize everything and be the best at everything all the time because that's impossible and it's exhausting.
Mm. Yes, I can imagine. All right. What didn't I ask you that I probably should have?
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, oh, maybe. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, actually, this is something that I'm very passionate about. Folks are they're trained that the only place that you can really go get things is like in a store, particularly when it comes to like a food and beverage product. And they always want to know, when are you going to go into stores and when are you going into retail? And my answer is we are purposely not doing that at this early stage of our business, because a lot of folks don't understand that you have to pay a
A
lot of
chef,
money,
right? It's a
a lot of money to be
shelving
on retail
allowance.
shelves. Exactly, exactly. And that a lot of brands who are in retail actually aren't profitable. And that it's a great way to get your brand out. But when you're early stage, it's really best to take your time, stay local, go deep, not wide, and build your community, your strong community of folks who support your brand, and make sure that you are well financed and well capitalized before going into retail. A lot of brands go out of business very early in their journeys because they don't understand that. They think that once they get on retail shelves, the money just gonna start rolling in, and it does not work like that.
Nope.
And with
No,
that,
it
another great
doesn't.
reminder to go to Stursi.com. We ship nationwide except for Hawaii and Alaska. And when we
And
open
Puerto
Moctique,
Rico.
yes, in Puerto Rico, and Moctique will be open in July at Savage Mill, which is an absolutely amazing. Have you been to Savage Mill, Dara?
A long time ago. It's
Oh my gosh, you
probably,
must return.
there were a lot of antique vendors in there. I have no idea what
It
it's
has
like.
changed a lot. It has changed a lot. And so, for folks who don't know, Savage Mill is an 1800s cotton mill that was converted into this complex of over 70 small businesses. And so, think of it as a mall, but way better because it's all artisanal, local businesses and super, super, super cool. So, it's in the Laurel, Columbia area, about 10 minutes from there. And so, that is where Moctique, our beverage boutique by Stursi, will be. So please come out and visit us this summer and support all of the other amazing small businesses there. There's so much cool stuff to discover at Savage Mill.
Right. And if I'm correct, there's plenty of parking.
Oh, yes, plenty. It's
That's
wonderful.
always the thing for me is where am I going to park?
Same. If
We'll
I don't
go
have a
from
path to parking, I'm not coming.
nope. Lex, you have been a joy in everything I hoped, and that smile has brightened the whole show all through. I wish you and Liv continued and growth and success in all your endeavors, and I'm sure our paths will cross in person. And thank you so
Yes.
much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. I have a couple announcements to make. My best wishes to you.
Thank you so
Okay,
much, Dara. I appreciate you.
everyone, be sure to tune in next week when my guest will be chef, storyteller, founder of Sassy Bon Cooking School. I can't talk anymore. Author, food historian, publisher, Dorette Snover. If you need to reach me, my Instagram is at Dara Cooks. Go to Instagram, give me a follow, or you can find me on Facebook. Type in the Food Enthusiast and you can follow me there. Feel free to go back in the show's archived interviews at J More Living under the food menu, the food enthusiast. Click on that tab and you can go see all 200 and I think it's 89 shows that we have done. Don't miss the link there to sign up for a bi-monthly email food newsletter, which brings you recipes, videos, stories, and it costs you nothing. And it's great to come up. The last one came in with the curry chicken salad, which was my recipe. So sign up for that. We truly really appreciate it when you share our show with friends and family. May your plates always, always remain full. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you